When people tell me about my career, and I start thinking, but I have been in a long time, and I've done a lot as well, like going to America, fighting over there, fighting in England, and headlining so many places, and boxing's been good with me, man. I mean, I appreciate it so much what boxing's done for me.
17 years, Amir. At the sort of sharp end of sport. I mean, there's no sport more intense, more gladiatorial, more punishing than boxing.
No, definitely.
I mean, how has that been? How have you managed that sheer length of time, dedicating yourself to a craft that it must be so lonely at times as well?
A very lonely sport. Yeah, boxing is one of the loneliest sports you'll ever be in, and also like being away from your family, your friends, your loved ones, being in training, stuck in training camp, up in the mountains. Away from them. I mean, you do miss them, at the end of the day, we're human, and you're going to miss your loved ones, and you're going to miss eating the good food that, your friends are out eating at the takeaways or the restaurants, but you're at home eating healthy food that your dietitian is making for you. So there's a lot of sacrifices in boxing. If you want to make it to the top, you have to do these things. And obviously there come days where, I remember the days where some of my friends used to be walking in at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, but guess what? I'll be getting up, going for a run. So these are the sacrifices to be the best and to achieve what you want to achieve in the sport. You have to be dedicated and disciplined, and that's what I was.
Amir, obviously we're going to get to some of your career highlights, maybe some of your lowlights we'll discuss as well, but with the news of your retirement, it's settled in. I know you've done a raft of interviews. As the days have passed, are you still confident that you've made the right decision? There's no part of you that thinks, oh no, what have I done?
No. I think it's the right choice. Honestly, me and your colleague was just speaking earlier when we were walking to the room that, you kind of know when to call it a day. The love for the sport wasn't there anymore. And also, when you get nervous, you get excited before walking into a fight, walking into the ring. For the last couple of fights, that kind of went. So... And when it happened the first time, I was thinking, maybe it's just something that was not right. Second time it happened. Third time it happened, I think this is a sign for me now to know that I should call it a day. And I do miss the sport, don't get me wrong, I do miss it to bits. I saw Floyd Mayweather the other day in Dubai. Yeah. He bumped into me and he goes, hey Amir, why don't we get on a exhibition? And I'm like, oh man, I've just retired from boxing and this guy's trying to get me back in the ring again. Now this time, before it was me trying to call him in the ring as a professional, now it's come to a stage where it's exhibition, it's a bit of fun. I mean, who knows? Yeah, maybe there's something I consider.
I think Burj Helipad, it didn't happen for Floyd this time around. He ended up fighting down in Abu Dhabi. But I think that could happen.
Watch the
Burj Helipad, Amir Khan eventually getting in the ring with Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, imagine, eventually.
Eventually, on the subject of Floyd, why did it never happened?
So that fight never happened. Obviously, Floyd had his own route that he wanted to take. I mean, I was the number one contender. I was in the number one position for him to fight. Because he had the whole of the WBC title. So I was the number one for many years, at least 4 or 5 years, and obviously I never got that chance to fight him. He just somehow kept avoiding me. One thing in boxing is that when you're a massive name, you can avoid fighters because obviously you're a big pay-per-view seller, you bring a lot of money to the table, you bring a lot of money to the state, for example, Nevada State, where he used to fight at. So they kind of let him be. They kind of say, oh, fine, Amir, we'll push it to another day. And I kept just getting pushed. And it came to a stage where, he did a poll, who should I fight between me and Maidana. Obviously, I won the poll. He said, I'll fight the guy who won the poll, and then never took the fight again. So I think stylistically, it was a very bad fight for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not for 1 second saying Floyd was running scared, but is there a feeling that...
Yeah, no, he wasn't running scared. Look, he's a great champion. What he's done in the sport is amazing. He's one of the best ever. And why that fight didn't happen, I think stylistically it would have been an ugly fight for him, because obviously speed versus speed, you got technique. See, he's not the biggest puncher. He's just, and he's very slow. He works at his own pace. So obviously when someone comes in with a faster pace, you can take him off his game. Obviously that's what I thought, but look, anything can happen in a fight. That could go out the window and Floyd could take full control. But look, it would have been great for me to fight one of the best in our generation, just to see how I would have done.
The remarkable thing about Floyd that I always think is that you have to trawl the highlights on YouTube to find times that he actually got hit, like properly hit, where he was rocked. 100%. Probably maybe even 3 or 4 times in his entire career.
And it happened more later in his career, because when reflexes get a little bit slower. But yeah, look, one thing about Mayweather, he was a great technician, the best defense in boxing. He'd make you throw a punch thinking you're going to hit him, and he'll make you miss and catch you with a counter punch. And that's what frustrated. See, every fighter who I know who fought Floyd said the same thing. They go, he would frustrate you. He'll make you miss by an inch and catch you with a small shot that doesn't hurt you but would frustrate you. And you'd be like, oh, damn. So, I mean, look, end of the day, he was good at what he did. He was good at his craft.
Just quickly, Amir, because you mentioned, of course, you never ducked anyone. You fought guys that were bigger than you naturally. You fought the biggest names. Kell Brook, that fight happened later than I think everyone was expecting, perhaps even yourself. You mentioned that the sort of fire had gone out by that point. Is that a regret that you didn't fight Kell before your kind of passion for the sport
because
dimmed?
we were both at different promoters at the time. The fight that happened earlier in our career when we were both at our peak. We were both world champions in the same weight division as well. He had the IBF, and then obviously I had the WBA and WBA Super. Then obviously when he let go of the IBF, I won the IBF title. But yeah, I mean, it would have been amazing to have that fight early. But look, I had to do it I couldn't leave the sport without giving that fight fans in the UK that fight. Everyone in England, everywhere I would go, they would say to me, Amir, when you fight in Kell Brook, we want to see that fight. Every interview, every event I had, I'd be asked that question. So I thought I have to do it for the fans. It's not for me. For me, I would have probably retired from the sport. I did it for the fans and basically wanted to give it back to them.
Be honest, Amir. Genuine animosity between the two?
At the time, there was. Honestly, there was. Maybe I didn't really have anything against him in that way. It was more like, obviously, he was quite envious of my career. There was that bit of jealousy, which he admitted later, that obviously I was making the big money. I was fighting in America, got a bigger name in America by fighting over there. But I come from the Olympic background, which gave me a good start, a head start, you know. But then, obviously, after throwing punches at each other and beating each other up, we become friends now. I mean, I'd love to meet him when I go back to UK, maybe go for dinner or something with him and his wife. And but yeah, my wife went to a boxing event the other day on Sky, and he came over and said hi to my wife, and he showed respect and goes, look, I got nothing against Amir, I'd love to meet him and maybe we can go for a coffee or have a chat. See, sometimes, you know, when it's been talked about so much, the fight, you think that it's going to happen, and it doesn't happen. Obviously, you do kind of automatically start hating that person because he's going to, before you know it, he's going to be in front of you. You want to be punching you in the face. So you have to make sure that you ain't going to like him. And I think with me, Kell Brook, that's what it was for such a long time. I'm going to fight him one day. And obviously that fight for ages didn't happen.
We sometimes think it's fake when there's so much animosity. There's a lot of trash talk in the build-up, and then seconds after the final bell, the guys are hugging in the middle of the ring. But is it simply the case that you've earned one another's respect?
Exactly.
Over the course of the fight?
100%. You've earned each other's respect by punching it out. Honestly, that's the honest truth speaking, because before the fight, there's been times at press conferences, there's been times at weigh-ins, there's been a push, or there's been a big kickoff. But after you punch each other in the ring, that respect's there. I mean, look at, for example, when Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis fought, they had to put a row of people in front of them before even them touching gloves, because they weren't allowed to touch gloves because that's how much they hate each other. But as soon as the fight finished, they were hugging each other and thanked each other. And so, which other sport do you ever see that in?
Yeah,
none.
It's amazing.
What was the feeling like? Again, obviously you didn't want to lose. It was built up as this grudge match. You ultimately lose that, Amir. Where did the emotions go? Were you fixated on the defeat, or was it that kind of feeling of, I'm done here? That for me is it.
You know, it was after the fight, I just said, I can't do it no more. You know, I just 3 weeks before the fight, I tore my rotator cuff. And then my tendon, I had a small little tear in my tendon. I remember having this pain, and you could see I have a few cuppings marks on my shoulder before the fight. I remember just before walking into the ring, I couldn't really throw a right hand. You know, when everything kind of just kind of got tight. And so I had a physio there on board, and she said to me, look, let me work it out and let's just get it all opened up for you. I go, look, all I needed is for 45 minutes. That's how long a fight is. I needed to be okay. She will be fine. So she flushed it out for me and everything. It was after that fight, you know, like, even walking to the ring, I was like, I wasn't really feeling it. Honestly, I've never felt like this ever.
There was, I mean, I could be wrong here, but there seemed to be a recklessness in your fighting.
And at the same time, I was quite like, see, there's two ways of being nervous. Nervous that you're excited to get in the fight, but I was kind of nervous thinking that Do I still have it in me?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I've been at the ring for 2.5 years before that. I was walking to the ring and I was like thinking, damn, this is like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't have the love.
And I
but,
guess...
But I trained, what kept me going and kept me focused and got me in there was knowing that how hard I trained for the fight, though. I was up in the mountains training with, like, Crawford and Jamel Herring and them world champions. And I think that if I was in a normal camp, I might have called it a day in training camp, said, you know what, I can't be bothered with this. But because I had world champions training around me and I had world-class trainers in Bomac and Terrence and them guys, I thought to myself, they're motivating me, they're pushing me, I can't let them down.
But having said all of that, Amir, you're saying that you're feeling things you've never felt before walking to that ring. Where does your mind take you? Are you at that point, are you thinking, holy moly, there's all of these people here, and I'm walking to this ring?
I've never seen so many people. I swear, I've had fights, but I've never seen that many people. When I walked out, I was like, it kind of gave me a bit of a shock, really, as well. Like, I thought, bloody time, and oh my God, so many people. And 90% of the people must have been there for me. So that gives you a little bit more pressure. But you know what? I don't know. I just went with the flow. Like I said, what gave me that motivation of getting in that ring was that I trained hard and I did everything. But mentally, like I said, maybe I wasn't there. And I never knew this would ever happen. People always say you'll always have signs of calling it a day from the sport. This was a big sign for me. The injuries and knowing that.
That feeling.
The feeling and the love.
All you've known is boxing, right? And that's sort of it's such a singular dedication. It requires more than perhaps any other professional sport. So when you decide that that's enough's enough, obviously you've got a life outside boxing, but what are the emotions when that void is left there in your life?
Void in like losing...
In knowing that you're never going to have another professional fight, knowing you're never going to have another training camp.
See, I was thinking that as well because all I've done all my life is boxing. All I know is boxing. I've done nothing but boxed all my life since the age of 8 at the highest level. And I thought to myself, that what do I do afterwards? Like I need someone to give me that same adrenaline buzz, that same push and that same kind of drive. I don't think there's anything that gives you that same buzz as walking into a ring, going to war, knowing that you're fit and you've got someone in front of me who really wants to knock your head off, basically. Yeah, it's been a...
So is that the bit you miss? Is that
I'm gonna miss that? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. And you know what? Like, that's why a lot of sportsmen and women, they get depressed. Yeah. Mental health is a big thing. Where when you start thinking back, look, with me, I'm quite lucky because I have a lot of charity work. I do a lot of events, and I've got a bit of a name where, luckily, I get called up to things and I can do events. So I'll keep myself busy. But there's a lot of people who still have a big name, who are well known, but when they finish from their career, boom, no one talks about them again. Like, it's done, that's it. And that's when they think, oh, what if I did this? Then they try doing different things, they try changing their life a little bit, but it works out so bad that, they go through that problem of having like mental health problems, they get depressed, which is one massive thing that happens to a lot of sportsmen and women, is depression. They get so depressed that they don't know what to do with their lives. Because think about it, if you know that you've always been boxing or you've always been running or playing football, when you stop that, it's a big thing that you've taken away from your life. Once you stop it, what do you do?
That's true.
Like, and also you've had such highs, you've had such euphoria in your career that, as you say, you don't ever going to replace that because you're not going to get in a ring and fight someone again. Yeah. But then I would imagine that those highs are balanced out by these feelings, these low feelings.
100%. See, you need the high and lows. Winning fights, losing fights. I think it's made me this character I am, because if I never defeated the lows, and if I never tasted the lows or the defeats in my career, I probably wouldn't be the same person I am. I wouldn't have that hunger. I wouldn't have that love for the sport. See, when I had my first defeat, I remember I was like, oh my God, like I never want to taste that again. And that made me train harder. That was my motivation then, not to lose again.
Give us an insight into that. Brady's Prescott, I remember it as if it was yesterday, Amir.
Were you in the UK then?
I was back in the UK, sat down, watching it. Oh my God, did not expect it coming. Did
First
not
round,
see it.
boom.
First round, done.
It happened so quick.
It was a blur.
Definitely.
What does that do to you as a fighter?
Mate, I mean, for me, now think about it, I was like, everyone was talking about me, I was in the papers. See, I wasn't even a world champion, but they treated me like being a world champion in the UK. Everywhere I would go, people were like, Amir Khan, and like, he's the next big thing, and they would compare me with the likes of Ricky Hatton and Nassim Hamed, and I was like, wow, like this is even me before even having a big test.
Yeah.
Anyway, going to my fight number 17th fight against Braden Prescott, I get beat. I get knocked out in the first round. Boom, shattered. I think what got me what got me through that fight was all the messages, all the way everyone turned against me.
Yeah.
I had literally the media, everyone, literally friends of mine, everyone walked away. I lost everything. Like sponsorship deals went, and I thought, wow, this was a massive wake up call for me, and it was for me then to prove everyone wrong. And that's why I came back stronger, and I wanted to prove them wrong that it was a mistake I made. And also, when I used to train as well, I've always been one of them hard training guys. I used to train hard, but you just don't give it that extra 1-2% that I knew I could give it, because you think, it's going to be an easy fight. I'm Amir Khan, and obviously people say I'm this good, and I've knocked all my other opponents out before this. And what's this guy going to do from Colombia? That's where Prescott was from. Boom! It probably the best thing that ever happened to me. If that didn't happen, I think I might have retired earlier. I mean, God knows that now.
2008, as I say, I remember it as if it was yesterday. Do you remember, you talked there about a lot of people turning their back on you.
Yeah.
Who was the person that came to you? Does that individual come to mind? And what did they say to pick you up after that defeat?
So, I remember, so at that time, the trainer I used at that time was a guy called Rubio. And he was like in tears because it was his first fight I used him for. And he's the one who said you should fight this guy. It'll be good on your resume. And I could see him in tears saying, look, I'm sorry. I don't know. Because, I don't know if you know this, but before that fight was announced against Prescott, I was supposed to fight Kevin Kelly.
Yes, you were.
Kevin Kelly. And it was announced Amir's fighting Kevin Kelly, the guy who beat Nassim Hamed. So it would have been a good fight for me. But then everything changed. That fight came up, and obviously my coach kind of pushed that. He felt like he did us wrong. But look, I said, don't worry. He was one, and obviously my dad put his arm around me, and he was very supportive. Because look, you win some, you lose some. In the amateurs, you lost fights, but look, you came back from him. So don't worry about it. And obviously, mentally, I was quite strong myself as well. But I could see that how everyone kind of turned against you. I think maybe they turned against me because they all expected me to be like amazing and never lose a fight. But obviously, I lost the fight, and I'm glad I did it early in my career.
You said that obviously that fight was actually beneficial for you. It enabled you to go on the path that you subsequently 100%. Went down. Which of your defeats, Amir, shook you the most, or kind of
some defeats are good. Yeah, some defeats are good that you need. So the Prescott one, I think I needed at that time to give me that kickstart. Again, the fight that but there's like two fights. One of the fights was against Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
And that fight, I remember, when you with Freddie at that time, I just knocked out Zab Judah. Had that fight against Lamont Peterson, which I was robbed again, so they were thinking of changing the results, so that he got banned, got caught, tested positive. I got pushed into a Danny Garcia fight. Didn't know nothing about this Danny Garcia, nothing. He was not even a name, no one knew nothing about him. They said, we got a guy for you. It'll be for the vacant WBC title, or he just won the WBC title. I watched this fight against Morales. Yeah, he fought against Morales, the legend, but obviously was a little bit older. And I thought, you know what? He was getting hit with shots. And I thought, it's an easy fight. I went into that fight thinking this fight's only going to be like a 5-round fight. When you just put in your head, I'm just going to walk through this guy. Obviously, got caught again. Boom. 4th round it was. I was winning the fight. I was catching him early, cut him both his eyes were cut. But I think took my eye off the game. That 1 second, I took my eye off the game and thought, I'm going to do what I want. Because I wasn't sticking to the game plan. I even remember this. I was boxing him nice and easy, keeping it long, bang, bang. And then I remember, I'm going to just step in now and start hitting him with some hard shots so I can stand there and sit down on them shots. And that was the biggest mistake I made, because I did not train to sit down on shots. And see, when you don't train on something, it doesn't come naturally. And he must have seen that I'm staying in the pocket a bit too long, and he caught me overhand left hook. See, boxing, it's all about seconds, split seconds. Like, see how I said, I got confidence, so I'm going to sit there now and I'm going to throw hard shots. He thought he's going to make a mistake by doing that, because I was making him, he's making me miss by a split second. But now if he's going to sit there and throw a shot, he's going to be there for me. Boom, he caught me. And And that I was so hurt by because in a way you kind of made a fighter. I made him he made a name for me. He then went on, won world titles and everything, and it was a title that I always wanted to win. You know, the undisputed title, which it was for, and against an unknown fighter at the time, who really I should have walked in and beat. But look, since then, Danny Garcia's had an amazing career, fought some great names, but yeah, that one hurts me the most.
You said 2. What was the other?
The other one, Lamont Peterson.
Because you were.
You know why? So with Lamont Peterson, why it hurts me a lot was because, so before that fight, there was talks about Floyd Mayweather, that fight happening in Vegas because they wanted to do a pay-per-view fight, and I think at that time it would have happened. I just got that loss against Lamont Peterson, which was wrong time, and I thought, and it could have gone either way, the fight, but I thought, wow, they found out that there was a lot of cheating going on. Obviously, he got tested positive, but it wasn't the same. I mean, because what would have happened if I had got that win against Lamont Peterson, which I still think I won that fight, the first one, I would have gone straight and fought Floyd Mayweather after that. It was contracted, literally signed.
Well, I remember talking to you in my previous guys, 2013, you're over here. Amir, you're opening up Isa Aldaz gym.
Yeah.
December 2013, we had a chat. I was at Yahoo at the time. Yeah. And you said the deal's done with Floyd. And we also talked up the prospect of Manny Pacquiao. Of course, you were out of the wild card gym with Freddie.
Yeah, wild card, yeah. Was that still at wild
yeah,
card?
I think you just finished. I think you'd finished 2012. I think you and Freddie had maybe had a bit of a falling out. Into 2013, you said, Chris, listen, I want to fight Manny. I don't care that he was a sparring partner. We'll fight. Why did that fight with Manny never happen?
I don't know. That's another fight. See, I've been quite unlucky, really, on the two big fights. Like Mayweather at the time was the pound for pound best.
You and Manny
Pacquiao would have been an amazing fight. We had some amazing sparring sessions, and it was like speed versus speed. And it'd be funny because Freddie would always say like it's amazing to watch them two spar. People could buy tickets to watch our sparring sessions. They were wars. See, there's a few clips that are on YouTube, but you know what? Believe it or not, that was the first ever spar I had with Manny Pacquiao on YouTube. Other than that, since then we sparred for, I did about 300 rounds of sparring with Manny Pacquiao, and we had wars. Like, we used to spar like we didn't like each other. I mean, we'd give it all and we hit each other hard. And I remember one time I sparred with him in front of all the Philippines. I think this was in Philippines, in front of all the Philippine media, and I must have took him apart. And you know what? All the media guys were like shocked to go, "Who is this guy?" I mean, that's how I made my name in the Philippines. Like, no one, now all the Filipino fighters know me, but before they don't know me, they thought, who is this guy who just give a pasting to Manny Pacquiao? And then obviously found out what I've done, and I'm a former world champion and stuff like that. At that time, I was a world champion, and they started following me. But I think Manny didn't take that fight because obviously he knew how the sparring sessions went and everything. But look,
so you were dominating those sessions.
Oh my God, they were crazy sessions. Yeah, we had some wars, but like they were really dominating. Yeah, like sometimes I have to pinch myself and saying, have I just done that to Manny Pacquiao? Like, because I'm not that type of guy to go and show the videos. I've never shown a video of my sparring to anyone. I've always kept it to myself. But they were, at times, I was catching him and I thought, is this the same Manny Pacquiao, or is he just letting me beat him up? You know, like,
wow.
But
what is he like? What is he like, Amir? Manny, because we've interviewed Manny on a number of occasions. He seems like a very humble, down to earth
very nice guy.
The Manny that you're talking about, did you see a different Manny come fight? Now, I appreciate you never fought him, but I'm sure you were ringside. Did Manny come alive for those big, massive fight nights?
So, you know, I think what's happening with me happened same with him. I could see the difference, that hunger, and that it wasn't there anymore. So last couple of fights I was in his changing room with him, and he's very chilled out. You won't believe it, but like, he'd be getting phone calls just before walking in the ring from people. He'd be like, "Oh, hello, yeah, I'm gonna fight soon, and I'll call you after the fight." And I'm thinking like, yo, this guy's going into war. He's gonna have a fight, and he's now talking to someone on the phone. And then even better, the best one was one of his managers comes in and goes, "Oh, Manny, you forgot ticket for this guy." "Oh, tickets, yes." This is like literally, this is about an hour before he's walking in. He goes, "Yeah, get tickets." Call someone else, Guess 5-6 tickets. He goes, "Yeah, give this to this guy, and this is the way." I'm like, wow, like I've never seen that in my life. Like, this guy's going to war, and this is while he was hitting the pads, boom, boom. and he's like, oh yeah, the tickets for this guy. Okay, dead. So I'm like, wow, check that out. Like, he does not need that pressure. And I think, because, the thing is as well in boxing, and I don't blame him, it's hard to believe, or it's hard to trust people.
Yeah.
Even your own kind of F you over, really. Which is sad, but it happens.
Why?
Because they see that much money coming in, and when they see millions coming in, they think, what's 50 grand? He's not going to see that. He's not going to mind. Boom. They'll take that. Or I swear that's how it goes. That's how it is. Like, look, it's like if there's 1,000 sweets there, you'll say, I'll just take 10.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel much of it. But in boxing, it happens. Same
Is that
thing
why
happens.
the entourages are so big? Because everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Yeah, but that's why, like, I've always had a very small team, and I've always had family. But like I said, it's happened to a lot of fighters where later in their career, when they go check and think, how much money have I? Okay, I made about this much, and how much do I have left? And they go, whoa, wait a minute, I don't have the same kind of money that I should have had. But then you find out that this person was getting paid, he was on a wage. So you have to be very smart. And like, if there's any fighters up and coming here and they're listening to this, you have to manage all your money, but then at the same time, you don't want to manage it too much, because then the love goes away from the fighting. It's a catch.
Did you think about money in the height of
I
your
never
career?
Never did. That's why I kept going for so long, because I wasn't bothered about the money. I was more focused on my career, winning world titles. But then later, towards my end of my career, I had to think about the money side, because I thought that, okay, I've got 30, 40 years to live. Got the rest of my life to enjoy now. How do I do this? Fine, I've got this much money. I think that's one of the reasons I took the Kell Brook fight, because it was for a big payday, and I thought, it makes sense because I'm giving it back to the UK fans. I'm making big money here, and I don't later in my life want to regret something I should have done. And because everyone wants to see the fight, I go, let's just make it happen. Even though it was done, we were both done, really. I mean, look, straight after me, he retired. He retired first.
Yeah.
We did Kell Brook, then I retired. But look, boxing, it's one of them sports where I've seen great world champions. I've been to conferences, events, I've been conventions, and I've seen legends who have nothing in their pocket. And that's when it hurts me. I think to myself, these guys took punches for a living, to make it good for us. But guess what? They broke. Like, they're asking, like, they're putting the hand out to ask for money. And I thought, wow, I never want to be in that position. And probably that last fight against Kell Brook, I took it because I wanted to make sure that my family is secured for the rest of their life. And there's fighters out there who kept spending like crazy, never managed their money side. They thought they've got enough. Boom, it's gone. I mean, look, if Mike Tyson can go broke and he's at 300-400 million, who are we?
You've obviously made a great living from it. You've been sensible with your money, Amir. You were at the top of your game for 17 years. For us fight fans and obviously sports media, behind the curtain, if you will, of boxing, behind the facade, is it a dirty sport? Have you seen the other side of it?
I have, yeah. I mean, boxing is a very dirty sport.
It is.
When it comes down to the rankings, when it comes down to who gets to fight against the world champion, who gets to pick. Look, in boxing, you have to have a big name. If you don't have a big name in the sport, you looked
doesn't
over.
Matter what
and
you
no
do.
one, it doesn't matter what you do. You'll never get that opportunity. You'll never get that chance. And there's been fighters who I thought were amazing, great world champions, and they've been put in the deep end where maybe they should have fought this person 3 fights down the line, but they've ended up fighting him straight away and they've lost that fight, and that's it. That's them done. And then they've never been picked to fight again. And these are talented fighters I've seen from Mexico and from America and UK. It's a very dirty sport. And it's sad to say this, but I've seen some crazy things where some fighters who trainers would not let in the gym because they couldn't afford to pay for but these guys are world champions to be in the making. And also then promoters, how they disrespect. I could talk about promoters now. How promoters disrespect these fighters just so they can make a bit of money for themselves. And then as soon as they lose the fight, they don't care who the winner or the loser is. But like, they'll put the arm around them. Oh, you're the man. You're a great champion. Don't worry, we've got another 2 fights for you after this, win or lose. But then as soon as they lose the fight, or they've forgotten about it. That's why this is like a very lonely sport, is boxing. You're on your own in this game.
When instances of kind of judging incompetency or maybe even corruption happen so often, you sort of almost roll your eyes after a while because you see it week in, week out in boxing where it's a robbery. It doesn't. Oh. Can you imagine another sport where the outcome was up for debate like it has been in boxing?
In boxing,
the Bivol Canelo fight being a great example. I mean, 115, 113. And Bivol was
walk right through him.
Right.
But because Canelo is the bigger name, Canelo is the household name, they had to somehow.
That's mental to me, Amir.
But look, he is boxing. If you think about it, Bivol being a champion or Canelo being a champion, there's a big difference between both of them. All right. And who's more marketable? Who's more of a bigger name? Who's going to bring more money to the table? It's all about money.
So is that judges seeing what they want to see? Or are you saying that they are fundamentally kind of fudging the numbers?
Look, they know who the winner needs to be. They know who the winner... You know, like when Floyd Mayweather fought against Maidana, a lot of people thought Maidana won that fight. The thing is, they need to make sure the winner who's meant to win is going to win.
Right.
You know, because who's going to bring more money to the table? It's a business at the end of it.
So in this case, it was just so one-sided they couldn't cook it.
Yeah, I mean, see, I've only seen a few rounds, and I thought, how did? I mean, it was so convincing in the rounds I saw that they had to give it to him, but they did it at such a close margin. It was a close fight where they can do a rematch because when people forget about the fight, they look at the fight record and think, oh, okay, he lost by unanimous. Okay, but it was a close fight. It was only 2 rounds in each round. Each judge had it 2 rounds up. Yeah. So 2 rounds, anything could happen in them 2 rounds. They'll do a rematch. But look, we do have our favourites in boxing, and favouritism is massive, and it's a shame it's like that, but it is. It's the truth.
Rocky Fielding, another man who you I'm sure know well, based out here now, former super middleweight, WBC super middleweight or WBA super middleweight world champion. He fought Canelo. He spoke to us, he was on our show. He spoke eloquently about what it is like to be on the other end of a Canelo Alvarez right. You've been on the other end of it as well. How hard does that man hit?
You know, see, he hit me that hard that he knocked me out like before I hit the floor. That's how hard he hit me.
First time that's happened?
First time, it's ever happened, yeah. But at the same time, see, when I've been knocked down in fights, I know exactly where I'm at. I stand up and maybe a little bit wobbly, but Canelo had that kind of power that kind of just knocked me out. Like, literally, I was knocked out. I mean, that's a knockout. That's power that... It must be hit hard, man. I mean, look, I'm glad he did, because sometimes I think it's better to be knocked out with 1 shot than taking 50 shots in the whole fight, hard shots like that, you know? Because that'll do damage to you in the long run. So I'm glad it was just a 1 shot, but I could feel that.
I take it you don't remember it.
I don't remember it. No, I don't remember it. And I do also, like when I watch the fight, obviously then some memories do come back when you watch a fight.
You were up on the cards, weren't you?
I was up on the cards, but you could see that. I mean, I remember one little thing is when I was hitting him in the ring, and I could see that he nothing was affecting him. I was hitting him hard with shots. Like he was like, okay. Like he knew that he's going to wait and he's going to catch me with a big shot. And a lot of people don't give him the credit for his speed. Yeah, he's quick. The way he is quick. He's not slow. I mean, the way when he caught me with the overhand right hand, he went through a jab straight into the body. So I thought he was going to throw a shot to the bottom. But at the same time of throwing that shot to the body, he's put all his power into the right hand and he's come over with a massive right hand. Boom, right on the chin, caught me.
Yeah, it was a perfect shot, wasn't it?
What a perfect shot it was. And the way he decoyed that shot, thinking he's going for the body, I'm thinking that I thought he's going to the body. I looked down, boom, he hit me over the top of the right hand.
Amir, see, you say there, watching back the fight, you're aware that Canelo he's brushing off your shots.
Yeah.
That's you watching back the fight.
Yeah.
Can you remember the fight itself? Did you have that feeling in the moment, ooh, these shots, they're not really getting through?
Yeah, I mean, I do remember.
And what does that do to your psychology then?
So I do remember that because I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was going to, because I'm going up so many weight divisions. So, but it felt quite comfortable to me when I was in there, and I was throwing them shots, and I wasn't really that tired. I remember he did catch me with a couple of shots earlier, and I took them well, and I thought, you know what, I'm okay. I took one of his good left hooks there. I'm fine. But it was the right hand I had to worry about, you know. but looking back at it, honestly, I just hope that I could have just stayed away and kept boxing him the way I was.
That's it.
Even if you went to the points, make it boring. That's why a lot of respect for Floyd, that he makes all the fights boring because he just gets the win. He does not need to exchange or make it look good for the fans. A win is a win for him.
Yeah, and you said, I think, that Terence Crawford is the greatest technich you've ever fought.
Yeah.
I mean, superior to Canelo, for
my
example.
God. Yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely. See, with Canelo, I could still hit him with shots, and it was just his power that won the fight. With Crawford, I couldn't. Crawford's like, his ring IQ was something else. He made me miss by an inch, and it was yeah. I mean,
Does that make you think he'd beat Spence?
Oh, definitely, bro. Like what? Yeah, definitely. Honestly, you don't think that. You don't think that.
I'm a big Errol Spence fan.
Oh, yeah. No, look, I'm a massive Errol Spence fan. He trained at my gym when he was for the Olympics, and I remember giving him a talk. See, that's how long I've been in the game. Yeah, it's crazy because he was in the 2012 Olympics, training in my gym as an amateur, and I was giving him a talk about world titles and championship titles, and I showed them the belts. We were taking pictures with the belts. Now my guy's got his own belts, and I'm like, wow, I was giving this guy a talk, and look at him now. Now, like he could be an opponent when I was fighting. I was just, I want to just call it a day, but I could have been an opponent. You know, he could have been an opponent for me. So it's crazy how time goes on. But yeah, if they fight, I just think that Crawford. You know why? Look, people don't give credit to Crawford when it comes to power. All right, movement. Crawford's got a lot of power. He's got decent speed. He's a southpaw, a switcher. He's a switcher, and also he just makes you miss by them inches. Like he was making me miss, and I got speed. He was making me miss by a little bit and just catching me over the top. I mean, I just couldn't get into my flow against Crawford. That's how good he was. And I remember last fight camp, he was there training with me. He come out and trained with me. We had a spar again. This time I was catching him a little bit more because obviously I know how to change my style and what I should have done instead. And I was catching him so much less, and I thought, I wish I was just like this in the last night. But you know one thing about Crawford, he's very thick and big and strong, which we don't.
Errol Spence isn't, is he? He's a bit
No,
more spindly.
look, you know what? Why I think now I know 100% why I think Crawford would beat him. If you look at the last fight against the Cuban. Ugas. When Spence fought him, he was getting caught, but he was getting pushed back a lot as well. And Ugas was not a guy to throw the right shots. He was just throwing shots, but he was leaning in. If you look at how he was fighting, he was leaning in, giving the uppercut. Whereas Crawford is more of a, he keeps his hands out, leans back, makes you miss and counter you. And also, I think he's a better technical fighter. Look.
Great fight.
That's gonna be a great fight, though. But you don't know. But you got with Spence, you've got power.
Yeah.
You've got so speed. Yeah, he's not bad. He's quite quick still, and he's got a good chin. Whereas with Crawford, he's only been down once in his career. Fought literally everyone. Yeah, I just
Crawford gets your nod.
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna. Right, well,
And look, but for a boxing fan, listen, I'm a boxing fan now. I'm not a fighter anymore myself. I would love to watch that fight. I mean, that, in my opinion, is.
What's the fight that excites you? Is that one right?
That's one that's going to excite me because we don't know who the winner's going to be, and they're both so good at what they do.
What about the heavyweight division, Amir? Does that interest you?
Okay, yeah, definitely. So I'm a good friend of Fury.
Good.
And I like him.
Do you think he'll fight again?
Tyson.
Huh?
Do you think he'll fight again?
Yeah. I think so. Look, he can't call it a day, man. I mean, the guy's on top of his game.
How good is he, though?
He is really good. Look, you know the way he breaks down everyone. He breaks down his opponents, and he just tears them apart. He's different. He fights like a middleweight in the heavyweight division. He's got the speed of a middleweight. He's got the power of a middleweight, heavyweight. He's got all the movements, the size, and the way he ties people out. He's so smart and clever as well. Like, for example, when he's fighting someone, he knows that he needs to slow them down. He put the weight on them. So he's taken a lot of like Muhammad Ali tricks. You know what I mean? And he talks well.
You obviously know Anthony well. Anthony Joshua. Again, another man that we've had on the show before. That fight, I've said it for umpteen years now. I don't see how Anthony Joshua wins that fight. I know they always say, and
look, stylistically, I think it's a bad fight for Anthony Joshua because, look, he's more of a static fighter, is Anthony, and a still fighter.
Yeah.
And he's like a robotic fighter. No, he's like Tyson. He reminds me of Joshua. Reminds me of Frank Bruno. Similar style, similar build, everything else. It's just that with Tyson, he's so unorthodox, so quick with his hands, so elusive and powerful as well, which people didn't give him credit for till he knocked out Deontay Wilder.
It's true.
The guy's got power.
And Usyk would just be too small for Fury, you think?
See, with Usyk now, I think that's a harder fight than if Joshua fought against
I agree.
Fury. Look, one thing about Usyk is he's a very good Russian. It comes from the Russian area. Ukraine is from. They've got the typical European style, the tight guard, and come forward and 1-2, boom, boom. And I think he'll cause more problems to Fury than any other fighter would cause problems to Fury. Because one thing about him is Usyk is that he's a Olympic gold medalist. He's got the background of a great champion. I just think that his IQ is so much better. He's got a tight defense, and we've not seen him out of second gear yet.
Usyk, this is
100%. Like all the fights we've seen Usyk in, especially in the heavyweight fights, he walks in and he's in first gear. We want to see that Usyk when he opens up. What is he like when he opens up? Like he's a beast. Even though moving up from light heavyweight or cruiserweight to heavyweight, I mean, look, credit to him, man. The guy's fighting the big boys now.
Yeah, he is.
And he's putting the weight on well. It's not like he's just put it on. I think that'll be a very hard fight for Fury. It's just that Fury's a little bit taller. He'll stay away from him. But one thing I can say about Usyk is that he'll have that power, and he knows how to transfer that power into every shot. That's one good thing about these European fighters.
What
a fight that would be.
That
like
would be
now,
a great fight.
I just read on the paper, on the news, online was that Joshua's taking that rematch against Usyk.
Yeah, he is.
Oh my God, I think that could be one of the biggest mistakes he makes. I think just let it go. Why doesn't he let Usyk fight against Fury?
Take the winner.
Take the winner, but at the same time get a step aside to step away from that money. So he'll get paid regardlessly, and then take the winner of that fight, which I think Fury will be. I mean, that fight.
That's the two fights left now for Fury,
that's
isn't
it.
it? Usyk and AJ.
Yeah.
AJ. But the thing is, if AJ gets beat again, then I think it just. Yeah, I don't think Fury will want to look at him again.
And AJ does get beat again.
100%. Like, you don't understand. I think with Usyk knowing the way he fights, and he's been in the ring with him and took his best shot, and he's the one who hurt AJ. He's only going to get stronger. He's in training camp now. I mean, he's training all the time. Usyk. He'll get bigger, thicker for the division. Now he's got the confidence because he's already beaten a world champion. I mean, he's going to be an animal when he comes in the second fight, and he's going to probably open up a little bit more.
I agree with that. I want to ask as well about the men that you have trained with. Freddie Roach, again, a man we've had on the show.
I've had him on the show.
Had Freddie. Called him. The great story about Freddie Roach, Amir. Called up the Wildcard Gym on the off chance. Old school journalism. He answered. I said, Freddie, it's Chris McCarty. Explained who I was. And I said, can I have a chat? No problem. You've got 40 minutes. 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Early morning over in LA. He gave me 40 minutes.
Okay, so listen, you know one thing about, if you're going to get a Freddie Roach, you just walk into the gym, he's always there.
It's
one
amazing.
thing about Freddie was that he's always at the gym. Now, I'm quite surprised he answered the phone.
He did.
Normally, Maria answers the phone. She looks after the gym for us. But Freddie is one of the most simplest people you'll ever meet. I used to walk in, and I used to do morning sessions sometimes with Alex Ariza. I used to walk in, and Freddie's there in the morning. I'm like, Freddie, you're here. I go, we got training at 1 o'clock. He goes, no, I come every morning. I'm here all day. Like, literally, he used to bring a little packed lunch with him. He has his food there, has a coffee. Boom.
Did you learn the most off of Freddie?
Yeah, definitely. Look, from all the fighters at that time, I needed someone to build my confidence up, someone to bring that love back in the sport, and it was Freddie and I was with him the longest, really. He had Manny Pacquiao at the time. He changed his career. He changed my career. He got me winning world titles. He was the man at that time. And I learned the most with him.
And then you went to the Bay Area with Virgil Hunter, right?
Virgil Hunter, the Bay Area, which I went because I was such a big fan of Andre Ward. And I thought, Andre Ward was there training with me. He was giving me tips and stuff. And I think what he wanted me to do was to slow down a little bit.
And that wasn't
in my style. And I think that kind of got me caught a little bit. I mean, look, I had some great performances under him with Canelos, Alexander, but I just think that it wasn't really made for my style. And then from there, I went to Joe Goosen, over to 10 Goose Gym in over in LA, Encino. And then, that was good as well. I had 2 fights with him. against Le Greco and Vargas. And then the last, then I went to Crawford's team, to Bomac. So I've worked with all the American coaches, but before going to America, I worked with Dean Powell in the UK.
Yeah.
I worked with Harrison, Oliver Harrison. So yeah, I've done a lot, man. I mean, I look back and think about the amount of coaches I've had. It's crazy.
What was your best performance? Would you say that, or the most sort of technically flawless?
You know the one I thought it was?
Sean?
Devin Alexander.
Yeah, I think so. But see, the Devin Alexander fight probably was the last. Was such a perfect fight. I was at my peak of my career.
You were.
Everything was like punch perfect. Speed was there. The movement was there. Everything was there. You know what I mean? I was making weight easy. That fight was at 147 as well. So I was at this. I was strong at the weight as well. It was after that fight I took a long layoff. And I could see then, that Floyd Mayweather fight was always getting mentioned and never happened, and kind of lost a bit of momentum. Momentum, yeah. And when you take so much time at the ring, it haunts you back when you come back.
I'm conscious of time, Amir. You've already given us 45 minutes. Going to wrap up in the next 5.
We could talk we talk all day.
Could talk all day. I do. Yeah, listen, it's a lazy question in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm sure you've had it a million times. But the Paul brothers, are they good for boxing? I'll tell you what. I'll give you my tuppence worth. I think they are bleep for boxing. Yeah. I think they are a pile of bleep for boxing. I don't like them.
No. You know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen is someone's going to get hurt so badly in the sport, and it's going to be bad for boxing. Now, look, you in MMA, you don't see nothing like that. It's only in boxing. Now, these guys have just thought they could throw a punch here and there, both the brothers, and they think that they've got it. They can go in the ring with anyone, but someone's going to get seriously hurt. I mean, I know the lads, but I just think that, technically, okay, Jake's got power. Jake's got the power, boom. And a lot of people would not fight him because they think he's not done nothing, but he's more of a risk fighting someone like Jake because he's got the power. He might bang you out, but there's nothing to gain if you beat him. What is there to gain? They're going to say, are you supposed to beat him anyway? For example, Fury's brother.
Yeah,
Tommy was supposed to fight him, but then he's still at one punch away from, because one thing about a boxing fight is he's going to land no matter what, and he might catch you with that one big shot. Is it worth it giving someone a chance who's not really a name or never fought before? It's more embarrassing. Imagine you get beat off someone who's never fought before or has any boxing background.
I'll stick up for Jake at least. Maybe not Logan, but Jake at least promoted the Amanda Serrano fight against Katie Taylor, which was the biggest women's fight in boxing history.
What a fight that was! You watch that fight?
And
it
was an incredible fight.
Stag do, unfortunately.
What a fight!
The highlights were unbelievable.
One of the best fights I've seen. Well, the best fight I've seen as women boxing. But even as a guy, as boxing whole of boxing, I think that has one of the most exciting fights I've watched.
Been a great advert.
What a fight it was
in the last 12 months.
You've got a guy with 30 odd million social media followers talking about boxing a lot. You could argue, how could that possibly be bad for boxing? I know it's creating perhaps a misperception that someone like Jake can compete. Maybe someone, and I'm not saying necessarily, and even Canelo himself said, let's give the guy time and see what he does. If you've got a...
You know my thoughts on this. We had him on for an hour. Someone like Josh Taylor, who I read today.
Josh.
Was you and him, was that going to be a fight? Was that a fight? Who's...
You know what, they mentioned it to me, but this was when I, obviously after the fight against Kel, and I was like...
Because I think Josh is stepping up.
Yeah, stepping up. But I thought, you know what? I don't have the love in the sport no more.
But someone like Josh, who undisputed, he came on our show and said, listen, guys, I don't get the love. If I was perhaps from down south, down from England, maybe the journalists give me a little bit extra love. Up from Scotland, an undisputed champion, one of only 7, I think, in UK history. Yeah. Someone like him who, go back to the point that you made half an hour ago, has busted his backside in the gym since the age of God knows what, and he's not getting what someone like Jake Paul, who is, by all ostensibly, he's a social media star.
Social media star, that's it, yeah.
It just
but
doesn't
as Amir also said, the sport favours charisma, right?
It does.
The sport always has hype, and it wants people who are going to put bums on seats, basically. And one thing about Logan and Jake, the two brothers, they got such a big fan following that no matter where they go, what they do, people are going to follow them. And it's a shame that with Josh, he's not got that same fan following.
No, he doesn't.
Which is a shame because he is unified or undisputed which
He's
is
class.
not easy. I mean, he's one of the best that we've had in Britain.
You talk about bums on seats. I'm conscious of time. There are going to be plenty of bums on seats Friday, June 17th.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
An evening with yourself, Movenpick, JBR. An opportunity, I guess, for you, Amir, to touch kind of face-to-face with fans and, I guess, a little bit of a love in all things your career.
Yeah, so I think, when it come to me, when Darwin said, look, would you give it a go? And I said, yeah, definitely, because I've never done this in Dubai before. I've not had a one-to-one, face-to-face interview about my boxing career and given opportunity to people who are there to ask me questions. I've never done that in Dubai. So I think it's going to be great, and obviously the event's going to be. I said fight. I think the event's going to be at the Movenpick Hotel.
Let's hope it's
I was like,
not a
there's no
fight.
fight. Trust me.
I don't rate Chris's chances personally.
Me and Chris. Imagine Chris. Couple of rounds.
No,
you can do.
no chance. No
You can ask me a
chance.
question. If it's a hard question, you get hit. But I think it's going to be give a chance to fans or boxing fans. They don't even have to be my fans. They can be boxing fans who I can talk about my history with the likes of Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, and also give them the insight of what it's like to be around boxing. And when they can ask me any question they want, and also lifestyle as well, of what boxing's done for me and how it's changed my life and what I'm going to do next and how I'm going to promote the boxing in the Middle East region. Because I forgot to mention that I am the WBC president of this region.
Yes, you are. I saw that on your Instagram, actually.
Yeah, so I'm the WBC, so World Boxing Council. I'm the, and I made a belt for the Middle East belt. It's called the WBC Middle East belt. I'll have to bring one in one day. And look, it's going brilliant. Every boxing event that happens in the GCC and Middle East has to go through me.
That's awesome.
So like when Floyd Mayweather fight, obviously we had to go up in the helipad. I went to the helipad, I had to look at it, make sure everything was okay. It was crazy. I was thinking, how on earth are they going to have a boxing ring gear? What if it's windy on that day? What if it's dusty or something? I thought, what's going to happen here? But then I still signed it off.
Of course you did. And listen, if you're the man signing this off, then an exhibition with Floyd Mayweather one day in the future is definitely going to happen, Amir.
Oh, who knows? I mean, like I said, it'll be easy signed off, huh? Yeah, it'll be easily signed off. But you know what? Look, it's all a bit of fun. Like I said, exhibition. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but yeah, I mean, look, if it means well and it's going to promote boxing in the right way in Dubai, for example, then definitely I would do it, yeah.
Brilliant.
Watch this space. Amir Khan, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Amir. It's great.
Our 17th of June at Movenpick JBR. You can get tickets, laughterfactory.com. It'll be Amir in conversation with myself. Plenty of anecdotes in all of that. What Floyd's really like, what Manny Pacquiao's really like, Freddie Roach, the secrets of Amir Khan's success. Friday, 17th of June. Top man, cheers, Amir.
Thank you.
Dubai Eye 103.8.
Join the conversation.